Okay, this could be a long one and won't be to everyone's taste. I understand this, so decide if you want to stay. Still here? Alright, get comfortable, maybe grab a snack and a drink. Let's get into this.
Yeah.
What's wrong with Destiny PvP? Well, that's a complicated issue and also depends on if you actually think there's anything wrong with it in the first place. If you're on this video, then it's more likely that you do. I certainly do. And thus this video is based around my informed opinion rather than me stating that everything is going to be concrete fact. You have the right to disagree. Firstly, here's some background to help you ascertain if my opinion is valid to any extent in your eyes. I believe I've been playing this game all the way from the first month of release until now. At the time of this video, I've played over 3,000 hours of Destiny. Yes, at periods of time in the last 2 years I've had literally no life. I've achieved a KD that puts me in the top 2% in the world. Not to brag and not say this is some incredible feat, as it really isn't at all, but it suggests that I'm not a player complaining about the game not letting me get kills. Still here? Okay. Let me ask you a question then. Are you confused by or frustrated with Destiny PvP? Unsure why you now appear to be getting worse? Can't seem to get hold of a solid connection to the people in the same lobbies as you? If so, let's analyse why at this point it may actually be reasonable for you to feel this way. Firstly, there, I said it. The dreaded SPM, skill-based matchmaking, affects lots of things that you may not be initially aware of. Now firstly, I applaud the concept of skill-based matchmaking when it's applied properly. In competitive playlists I think it's sensible to employ if it works, but we'll come to that point later. In Destiny, skill-based matchmaking is shown that it can have a hugely negative impact. The main problem is its direct negative impact upon connection. From the research I've done, I understand that some form of skill-based matchmaking was included in the base game on day one. At least that's the line that Bungie has previously used. And the balance between skill-based and connection-based matchmaking at this time was effective in the vast majority of players' opinions online and from those I've spoken to. The balance has been tipped further and further towards skill-based since then. Bungie stealth implemented further skill-based bias when the Taken King dropped. So those red bars you constantly see? They didn't used to be there, at least nowhere near as regularly. You may have noticed the 2 red bars and the yellow bar evident on the thumbnail for this video. That isn't at all unusual. You may also notice that one of the red bars had taken the lead score early on in the game. Also not unusual. Skill-based matchmaking means that you aren't playing the people that offer you the best possible connection for fair gunfights. Instead, you're given people based on Bungie's matchmaking algorithm. The game searches for people that meet a specific criteria. Not to say it's wholly skill-based, probably far from it, but this does appear to be tightening the field of potential matches you can have, which lessens the opportunity for a strong connection. The result? Lag, poor hit detection, confusing interactions and red bars. Red bars that dominate games, that you can't kill, that make the experience frustrating. Deaths around corners, through walls, invulnerable enemies, etc, etc, it goes on. And since the Taken King, Bungie has apparently supposedly reduced skill-based matchmaking. In July 2016, Derek Carroll, the PvP lead for the Crucible live team, informed players of an adjustment to the matchmaking algorithm, stating, "When the new settings are applied, players at the extreme end of the skill curves should see shorter matchmaking times. Connection quality is still the primary search criteria. The changes we're implementing will make playlists more responsive to the overall composition of the player population. As matchmaking times shorten, you may encounter players across a wider range of skill." So has this worked? The overarching opinion of the player base is no. The game still feels a mess in all honesty, and this is a shame. To flesh out the point with actual experiences, I'm a UK based player. Using DestinyTracker.com, I found that I've been matched with people from France, Spain, the US, Saudi Arabia and New Zealand, just to name a few. To fill you in, New Zealand is over 11,000 miles from the UK. Your peer-to-peer connection can suck a fat one when it comes to 11,000 miles. Furthermore, I've played Fable, a friend of Sir Demetrius, on 3 separate occasions, and I'm certain he lives across the Atlantic Ocean from me, so you can imagine how often I, you and anyone else likely play people on ridiculous connections. And please don't believe the green bars. They're often unhelpful, and the colour bars you see can highly differ from those that others in your lobby can see. I've talked to my friends about this while we've played in-game, and the bars do differ. The point? Your feelings of mistrust towards the game and what you experience are reasonable. it's often not an accurate representation of how you're attempting to influence it. The timings are often off, as is hit detection. You can find a huge amount of people online who have described how the game feels to them now, and they're often in an extremely similar boat to myself. The game feels different to how it used to. It's hard to describe, but after playing a game for a certain amount of time, you get used to certain things, you get a feel for it. That feeling is now vastly different to what I and many others have enjoyed. So basically, sometimes you're just going to lose, and you need to accept that. You can continue to improve as a player, which can help your own ability of course, but in some instances you are destined to fail due to the current state of the game. Would dedicated servers help? Probably, to some extent. There are actually whispers that the game works on a hybrid system of player to player and dedicated servers. This however does not seem to be working as the player base would like. This seems like a good point to end part 1. The overall message is that SBM has a huge impact upon your experience of the game, and it's a largely negative one. I love this game and want to love it again. I don't wish to just complain about it, I want to shed a light upon the problems and make clear that the game was better prior to all this. Hopefully this has put some of your minds at ease that it isn't just you. You aren't imagining everything, and what we've covered is part of the reason why. Join me next time for part 2 where we'll cover the other factors affecting the Crucible. Thanks for watching. Laters.